a lot of people just focus on trying to gain new
Hmm.
followers to grow their business. So when we get enamored with this idea of, oh, yeah, I just want to attract new eyes, I just want to grow my followers, you are neglecting all these people who are already following you. And when you do that, you are leaving opportunities on the table.
From metro school teacher to e-commerce to successful elite real estate agent here in Nashville, we're going to be talking to Marie Lee today with Move Me to Tennessee. She's got a great following on Instagram, and she is an amazing realtor here. And we're going to be talking all about how she gets her business, how she nurtures clients and leads, and how you can do the same. So stay tuned. So, Marie, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, I'm so interested in your story because the way that we get business now, and they say the average age of a realtor or loan officer today is about 50 years old plus. And, social media has been around, but it's only seemed like it's come on the scene for people to actually monetize, to turn leads into nurturing and to actually getting clients and closings and conversions has maybe only been in the last couple of years, but you have seemed to really dial that in. Talk about your beginnings and how you've been able to do that.
Yeah. Well, I started using social media to build my business because when I got licensed, the world was shut down. So I needed a way to connect with people, and social media seemed like it was a great opportunity to do that. And the reason why was I've been here in the Nashville area since 2016, but nobody in my circle was buying home. So I thought I need to start approaching people who are looking to buy and sell, but I don't know where they're at. So I started posting on social, and it was very basic at that point in time. How do you buy a home? What's Nashville like? It took me about 2 to 3 months for me to get my first lead to raise their hand, say, hey, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
And I think within the first year, got to be consistent with the content that I was posting. Was closing maybe around one deal every 2 months or so. And then in 2022, I really decided, all right, this can be a really great generator for leads. So I need to dial in on my systems. And in 2022, I decided, hey, I need to create some funnels so people know how to work with me. People know that they can get value from me, and then I can keep them in my sphere for a period of time. So in 2022, I started tweaking around with things a little bit here and there, and really dialed in some systems like using a connector, aka a link in bio, so
Hmm.
people can connect with me directly. Using a scheduler so people can set appointments with me by themselves. So right now at this point in time, all of my business is inbound. I just have people setting appointments with me. And then from there, how can I make this a little bit more passive? Setting up some landing pages, creating some email campaigns, and just staying top of mind. So from 2022, 2023, I was averaging around 22, 24 transactions for the year. And then we are on pace to close just over 14 million in the 2024, which I guess is, yeah, this year. So, yeah.
So you had a pretty good trajectory there, and I was going to ask you about that because 2022, what was the consistency like in putting out the content when you first started? What was it like then?
Yeah, so I would say it took me about 18 months from starting to create content to getting people to raise their hand consistently. So from the time that I started pushing content out to maybe around the beginning of 2022, I had people that were raising their hand, but they weren't taking action. And then in 2022, I was averaging maybe 1 to 2 deals a month, but then it was the summer months where I was working with, I don't know. There was one point in time, I think I had like 8 or 9 active deals at one time. Not all of those closed. I think one thing about getting deals from social media is you can't really qualify everyone to the
Hmm.
highest extent.
Hmm.
So there were some things that had fizzled out by that point in time. But yeah, the end of quarter two, beginning of quarter three was extremely busy, and just kept me with some momentum moving forward.
Would you attribute any of it to did you learn anything from others? Or did you sort of, mimic anyone? Or was this completely just sort of you just throwing yourself in there? I mean, obviously you're throwing yourself in there, but what was your process like, as you evolved, like the learning process? Because I think a lot of people want to know, like, gosh, I don't want to do videos or, and how would I even do that? How would I get started? And so they're looking for help. What would you say to that? Like, talk about like how you evolved,
Yeah.
how you started out with the learning process of it.
I think at first I drew a lot of inspiration from other agents who were they had a highly established presence online and they looked like they knew what they were doing. So I tried mimicking things that they were doing. I tried mimicking things that were really popular on social. So there was, I think, one point in time I tried to dance and I lost like an insane amount of followers after that. So I stopped doing that. So I tried following some trends for a while. 2022, I feel like is where I started to kind of shift and find my own voice. So I started trying out new things, but the real change in my business were some of these systems that we're talking about. And I drew some inspiration from the company Coffee and Contracts, which
Mhm,
I'm now content coach for. Um, they were introducing the concept of landing pages. So I took that concept from them and then really just refined it and tried making some tweaks here and there, and then, began adding on to it. So had been hearing from the marketing world for a period of time that email marketing is really, really great,
mhm,
and it's a really great low cost way. So I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna start trying to provide value in emails." So I think over time, things just kind of showed what was working well. That's when I was like, "All right, this is something I need to focus on, maybe make some tweaks." But those systems are, I think, single-handedly what allowed me to capture more
yeah.
business and convert more business. Because when I was just focused on video, um, it there were people who were watching and engaging, but interestingly enough, in 2023, I had around 80 inbound appointments that were set with me, and two-thirds of those people had never engaged with my content or maybe
Wow.
weren't even following me. So they weren't liking stuff or sending me DMs or commenting. I didn't even know they existed. But because I had these systems set up and I made it so easy for them to connect with me, they went ahead, took advantage of that opportunity, and then we were able to work
So
together.
expound on that. Where did they come from? Do you think? What?
Well, the platform that I'm most active on is Instagram. So, generally, that's how most people are finding me. So maybe they had seen a reel where I'm talking about living life in Tennessee and what that looks like, and they're like, "Oh, I want to live in Tennessee. I've got some more questions." They go to my profile and then in my bio, I'm saying, "Hey, you can get some freebies and some consults," and I'm pointing them
Mhm,
down below, and
mhm,
they click that link. The first button that I have on my page is a work with me
mhm.
15-minute call. They're clicking on that and setting their own appointment with me. So those calls are generally the highest converting leads that I can get because they're ready to talk and they're super interested.
Mhm. But like you say, a lot of these people you had not engaged with.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just very important for people to understand because it could be, that we talk about people are stingy with the heart, meaning they're scrolling. You never know who's watching. Um, I spoke to someone yesterday who's a friend of mine, who's a coach of mine, and he has about 750 subscribers, only 750 on YouTube, and he just got a $12,000 contract to go speak to underprivileged kids. And the reel that it had 60 people that engaged with it. I mean, that
Mhm.
was it. And so it was just very, very small, but you never know. And I think that's just important to note because, gosh, I mean, you think about all the people that are out there. They're looking at your content. They may not comment. They may not even heart it. They're stingy with it. But then all of a sudden now, boom, and then you talk to them, they're on your calendar, and then you talk to them, and it's like, "I've been watching you for a while, been following you," and it's like, you realize it's almost it feels good, doesn't it? Because it's almost like, um, "Okay, I've been this is, it's been working," and
Yeah.
you're reminded that, "Okay, what I'm doing, there's value in it."
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
very validating and affirming. And I think even right now, it's more difficult because I feel like we're so inundated with content that
Mhm.
people see things, but people aren't engaging with it. I know myself, I'm watching a lot of content, but I'm not necessarily engaging with it. And I think I talk to a lot of creators and they're like, yeah, I'm just not getting the views or the likes like I used to. And I think there was a point in time at the beginning of this year where I was really questioning, do I know what I'm doing?
Mhm.
Because it's not performing like it was.
Yeah.
But then, really just trying to focus on speaking to that person directly. Like, what is it that they have questions about? Or
Mhm.
what are some of the pain points that they might have when you're speaking to somebody so specifically, it just triggers them to take action. So when you're
Right.
so accessible by the systems that you're putting in place, like if it triggers an emotion in a person like, oh yeah, this is exactly the solution that I need, then that just makes you even more valuable
Mhm.
being available at that exact point in time.
Right. Like, what do you think about niching down? I wanna hear your opinion about, how much to niche down, if with your business,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of talk about that, right? And
Mhm.
so what we're saying here is, um, you know, you pick a lane and drill down into that one particular client. And what made me think of this is you're talking to that client, you're trying to figure out what it is that they want to do, what are the questions that they have. And so as a realtor, what is it? Because you're it's not like you're in Nashville, so it's not like you're selling a home in Knoxville or Memphis or Lexington or wherever. You're selling a home here. And so, but within that, there's so much you can niche down on, right? I mean, it could be luxury homes, it could be this, it could be first time buyers. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
Yeah.
what
I
have
think
you done in your business with niching?
think that that's the name of the game, right? They say the riches are in the niches or however you wanna say it, niche, niche,
Yeah, right.
either
I'm
or.
not sure.
Yeah, but I have noticed that, when you are talking about something repeatedly over and over, and you are talking about a specific niche, you are triggering these people to act with you. And when you're consistent, you're repeating yourself over and over. That repetition is what creates a message that is so consistent that people know exactly who you're helping and why you would be
Hey,
the
did you're the
great fit.
expert
Yeah,
because you're repeating it over and over.
exactly. And people need that repetition. I think sometimes we have this idea of like, oh, I've already talked about this. I can't talk about it again.
Mhm.
No, you need to talk about it again. You need to talk about again like every week, honestly. So when I was exploring niching down, I really didn't want to pinpoint something that I didn't feel like was inauthentic to
Mhm.
me. And then I was really having trouble because I wanted to help everybody, but that generalization kept me from speaking to people specifically. So I started talking to first time home buyers
Mhm.
when I first started out. And then I realized they're not having a really great success rate with the current
Mm.
market.
Mhm.
They didn't have the funds
Right.
to compete. And I was like, I
It's been
need
rough
it
for them.
has
Yeah.
been. So I was like, all right, I want to target maybe relocation clients. So I began shifting my message. And once I did that, I started getting an influx of relocation leads. And then what I found was because I had talked about first time home buyers and because had talked about relocation clients, I had almost created like this sub niche of
Mm.
first time buyers who are looking to relocate to
Mm.
Nashville.
Mhm.
So that's a very, very specific pool of
Yeah.
people. But these are people who maybe have been priced out of other markets that just didn't have the funds to compete in those markets that
Mhm.
decided to come here. And with that, I think you could say, oh, such a small and narrow business model. But that particular business model got me a client last year from an agent referral. They're like, hey, I have this client that's moving in from Dallas. They're first time buyers. We were speaking. I was trying to talk to them about financing and the components of making a move. And in that, I found that they ended up being multi-million dollar buyers, which I would have never considered a first-time buyer as
Mhm.
somebody who's making a
Yeah, right.
$3 million purchase.
Right.
But because I was so specific about who I was helping, that agent was like, "Hey, this is the person you need to talk to." So, it wasn't a price point that I had done or dealt with, considerably, but because I had that expertise of first time buyers and relocations. They felt so comfortable, like, hey, this is right up your alley and you'd be the perfect fit.
And so, your handle "Move Me to Tennessee," guys, that you wanna follow her there on Instagram. But so, Marie, how important is it to have, like, 26,000 or 28,000, whatever you have now, in order to get business? I'm gonna assume, you built up to that over
Mhm.
time, right? And so what was that trajectory like? And then were you getting business in the early days that you
Yeah.
were building?
Great question. I think social proof is important,
Mhm,
but I don't think we can pass up the opportunities that are in front of every kind of creator. So, when I first started, I had a personal page that I started posting content to
mhm,
about real estate. So, at that point in time, I think I had just under 2,000 followers. So, really, for the first year of content, I remained stagnant in that 2,000 follower mark. So, um, it was in 2021 that I started having some videos that began gaining attention, and my follower account finally started to go up. But in that period of time, I was still getting people who were raising their hands.
right,
So it took me until I think November, December. I finally had a video that popped off and started gaining traction, allowing followers to really connect and begin developing a followership. At that point in time, I had just hit over 10,000.
right.
So for the first year of business, I'm closing um, about 5 to 7 deals, and I had 2,000 followers. So I feel like that's a
Yeah,
pretty good
sure.
opportunity there. And then once I hit that 10,000 follower mark, I think it gave me a little more credibility. But I think the biggest push for social proof was I began showcasing what it was like to work with me. So when clients were sending me like love texts or like, hey man, I would just so appreciate you doing this, or this was such a huge help, I would screenshot that and then use that
In your
in
stories.
my stories, kind of creating like a testimonial so people
Mhm,
knew I'm working with people, and they would be more inclined to work with me. So
right.
yeah, I think if you are showcasing that you're working in your business and on your business, you don't necessarily have to have the followership to make social media work for you,
Mhm,
but you need to show people that you are available, make it easy to connect with other people, and that you do know what you're doing and
right,
you're actively doing
right.
it.
And there's so much to talk about here, but one thing I want to make sure that we talk about is, when you're saying, you're putting out these reels, the reels, guys, what you have to understand is reels is where the reason why they're better than posts. So you can put posts, you can do carousels, you can do stills and, a picture of you at the closing and all of that. That's great. The thing is, that's only going to show it to your followers. So if you have 2,000 followers and 10%, 15% are actually going to see, because that's about what it is, are actually going to see your post, you're not talking about a whole lot of people that are going to see that. And so, but reels, it's a ripple effect. It's showing it to more and more people. So as it gains traction, so it's almost like a pebble that goes into the water. And as more and more people see it, Instagram says, okay, people like this, and it pushes out to more and more people that are actually not your followers. And then they become followers, or maybe they just now they're showing up in their For You page. And so, but there's the content that you're putting out on the reels, but you're not selling there. You're not showing your day to day in the reels. So I think sometimes people get stuck like, what do I do? There's a
Mhm.
formula to this, right? There's a whole science to it. That's not that complicated. It's just if you don't know, you don't know. And so, but then, the stories, that's where you're showing, here's what I did today. Hey, I'm on the way into a closing, or, I just helped you showing, graphics about, a closing that happened and how you saved people money or got them into this incredible home. There's a science to that, right? I mean, there's a whole way. And is that what you teach, when you're coaching people?
Yeah, and we teach about the different content types and what content type really allows you to reach new audiences or convert followers into clients.
Hmm.
So we talk about that. We talk about the importance of showing social proof or allowing people to see what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and we talk about what that formula looks like. So yeah, I think a lot of people just focus on trying to gain new followers
Mhm.
to grow their business, when they're neglecting this whole pot of
Mhm.
people that they could potentially be working with who are already following them.
Right.
So when we get enamored with this idea of, oh, yeah, I just want to attract new eyes, I just want to grow my followers, you are neglecting all these people who are already following you. And when you do that, you are leaving opportunities on the table. So, showing up in stories, that's where you're getting to connect with those followers
Mhm.
and, showcasing wins of your clients, showcasing things that you're working through or ways that you're working in your business. That's going to give people the know, like, trust factor
Right.
to say, hey, you actually do know what you're talking
Right.
about, or I'm seeing that you're providing some solutions to
Right.
some problems.
Right.
I do wanna try and work with you.
What are you seeing that's working now? Because, in my world, we did a lot there was a lot of what they call talking heads. So it's you, the camera, it's almost like a newscast or whatever, and it's just, it's edited. And we've seen ebbs and flows of like the algorithm rewarding, high production. Now it's not so much. And then now we're seeing like, that talking head is not as because I think what happens is people get used to the followers, they get sort of used to seeing the same thing and they get tired of it. And so they scroll instead
Mhm.
of stopping. And so now what are you seeing besides like, things like text on screen and things like that? What are you seeing that's working, that's gaining more traction now?
Yeah. Content adapts and the algorithm shifts, I feel like on a monthly
Mhm.
basis. So, talking head videos are great if you are highlighting a specific scenario. I feel like there's 2 types of content. You've got awareness content. This is the content that builds your following.
Mhm.
And then you've got conversion content. Usually talking head videos fall within that conversion piece. These are people who already know you, maybe already follow you, but you're talking a lot about thought leadership,
Mhm.
a lot about the industry. Those talking head videos give you a little bit of authority. The awareness piece I feel like is working really well for people right now, just to expose more people to their brand or what they're doing. Things like B-roll video,
Mhm.
where you're showcasing what things look like behind the scenes. For me, I really like to showcase. I call it visualization content. What does it look like to work with me? I'm showing clips to try and paint the picture of, all right, this is what a consult's going to look like. This is what it's going to look like when we're drafting up an offer. This is what home showings look like. Like, I want you to know what we're about to get into or could potentially be on in terms of a journey. That kind of content is not performing very well right now. Like, it's not getting the views, but it's what's connecting and what people are raising their hand like, hey, I really liked this piece
Right.
of
Right.
content.
And
So
so explain more what you mean by that. So
yeah.
it maybe doesn't have what I hear you saying is it doesn't have the viewership. It's not gonna be the reel that pops off as, 2 or 3 times, 4 times bigger than what your normal reels are, and maybe it's smaller, but you're saying that people are resonating with it more, and you're maybe that's where, going back to Raylan, my friend who, did a small video, with 750 subscribers on YouTube, but they could be that one person or 2 or 3 people, that actually start to move forward,
Yeah.
right?
I think Instagram has been doing a lot of audits recently, and they've been having conversations with creators about what's working on the platform. How do you optimize your profile? And just did a podcast about this with the broke agent yesterday, and the platform itself is saying, hey, the amount that you should be posting should range around like 3 to 5 times a week. So I think there was a point in time where we were trying to post daily, multiple times a
Mhm.
day to really grow and
Mhm.
really focus on increasing those engagement metrics like we're talking about. But I think Instagram is starting to focus more on quality rather than quantity. So it's the high quality videos, it's the high quality message that they're either pushing out. I would say to more of your ideal clientele, or um, yeah, that's the kind of content that's gaining traction. So, um, really just narrowing down your messaging, who you're helping, how you can help them, painting a picture. It might not get a whole bunch of views right
Mhm.
away, but
Yeah.
this is the content that a lot of people are saying right now
Sure.
resonates most with them.
And then share like a couple things that people could easily do that, think of the agent out there that you're talking to that maybe doesn't know exactly what to share in their stories, but there's ways to engage,
Mhm.
have people interact. Talk about that.
Yeah, some great interaction tools. Like if you're on stories, I think if you're going to be doing some showings, maybe you show a behind the scenes clip of house number one, behind the scenes clip of house number two, and then the next story would be like a hey, which house would you
A
prefer?
poll.
Yeah, I
Mhm,
love engagement stickers. So people want to be on the journey with you. Two, showing homes, asking people to guess the price. Bring people along the journey with you, you
mhm,
know? If you are showing some homes, maybe you don't give the location. You like, hey, anyone want to guess where this might
mhm,
be? These are the types of things that will connect people in your stories, um, in your reels. I
mhm,
feel like right now, I like I'd mentioned some visualization content, what that looks like for me. So some examples of what that might look like might be, hey, get ready with me for a day of showings, and then just showing the process of you getting into the car, you opening the door, showing the homes, so people can begin to see, all right, what does a day of showings
right,
look
right.
like?
And I've seen that's all of I love all of that. The other thing that I've seen that's be really good that's been really good is you were it was close to what you were saying, but you show the inside of the home, or the exterior of the home. You don't share the address, but then you maybe say, "If you'd like more info
Hmm.
on this," and then, click the link and you can get the listing or just comment
Yep.
listing or something like that,
Yeah.
And then
The
you can set up you wanna talk about mini chat, like how you can set up so you don't have to constantly be sitting there
Yeah,
answering
I'm
all
the
day?
worst person to be asking about ManyChat. I think automation's great and some people
Or
need
any
it.
automation, not just
Yeah,
mini chat.
but I really love systems more than I love automation. So personally, ManyChat for me is very, it's very intimidating and overwhelming. I've tried using it,
Okay.
and I honestly, like, once I've connected it to my account, I think I just get so many DMs that it just kind of
Explain what mini chat is too.
yeah, for those of you who don't know, ManyChat's a automation tool where you would comment a word, a specific keyword on either a post or in a story, and it automatically triggers an automation sequence where your account is then sending out a intro message,
Mhm.
and then usually you are giving an email to receive some sort of lead magnet, or you are giving somebody direct access to something. So ManyChat has a free option. I think you can have up to 1,000 messages with that. And they have a paid option. That paid option allows unlimited. I want to say that's like $20 a month. Or you can do what I do.
Mm.
So, like I said, I'm a little overwhelmed by it. So I have just like templates that I have saved in my phone. If I'm getting ready to showcase a listing, on my stories and I want people to engage and send me some DMs, I'll say, "Hey, comment this word." Somebody comments, and then instead of having ManyChat triggered, or automated to send this message, um, I'm the one sending it. So I just go in and copy and paste it from my notes and I DM it to them. I've had some moments where people have responded back and I will respond back and they're like, "Oh, wait, this isn't ManyChat? Like,
Right,
you were
right.
actually sending this out?" I'm like, "Yeah,
You're
but"
like, chalk one up for my
Yeah.
method, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I feel like, I talk a lot about systems, and so I think it's kind of funny and ironic that I'm not actively using it, I would like to, and maybe I just need to outsource somebody to set
Yeah,
it
it's
up
totally
for me.
interesting because it's like,
Yeah.
you would think that the overwhelm would happen with having to respond to everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's whatever works, right? I mean, so this has clearly worked well for you. So now, tell us about your brokerage, what you're doing now. You kind of had an evolution there when you started out. But talk a little bit, tell us where you're at now.
Yeah. So in March, my husband and I made the transition to Real Broker. Real is a cloud based
Hmm.
brokerage in the state of Tennessee. The actual brokerage is in Knoxville, but we're trying to grow a Nashville presence. So, biggest changes for us have been wanting to get plugged back into a national community, a very collaborative community, a tech focused brokerage and people that are really proactive. So, I was introduced to this company back in May of 2023. I spoke at one of their conferences, and I've just been watching them, thinking about it, but I was like, no, I don't need to make a change. But then once we started having all of this windfall of the commission settlements
Mhm,
and all this change going on in the real estate world, I was thinking, no, I need to be in a place where I'm proactively
mhm,
setting myself up to address what's going on.
mhm,
So in January, the president of Real hosted a buyer mastery workshop. And in this workshop, he was talking about how important it is for us to be focusing on buyers right now. The real estate industry has this saying, list to last.
mhm.
If you want to last and make this a career, you need to be a listing agent. But this president, I feel like has a slightly different approach. He's like, people are so used to paying a listing agent. You don't need to focus on your listing skills. You need to focus on the value that you're bringing as a buyer because nobody's ever had to provide their value or prove what they're
As a
worth.
buyer's agent.
Right.
Mhm,
And so they really began pushing training and really just a mindset shift. And I think I've always felt this way. I've been very buyer heavy. I've had several listings and they've worked out successfully, but I think being a great buyer's agent is such an opportunity in the market that we're about to have because so many people are buyer's agents, but they're not doing it well. They're not talking
mhm,
about
mhm,
strategy. They're just opening doors and
mhm,
writing contracts. But
right,
it's going to be the agents who are negotiating, the agents who are educating, and the agents that are providing services.
mhm,
So somebody can really make an
no
empowered and
doubt.
informed
Mhm,
decision. Those are going to be the agents that I think are going to stay the course in
mhm.
the upcoming months. So
What are you guys, what's your message to your clients about the new ruling in AR? Are you having these conversations? Is it coming up? Is it already coming up?
I had a client or potential client reach out yesterday, and I think this is the first time that somebody asked me, "Hey, do I need to sign a buyer broker agreement to work with you?" So this is somebody who's looking to make the move to Nashville. They're coming in for a relocation trip. We don't have a relationship already
Mhm,
established. Um, so in those moments, I was telling him, "Hey, so moving forward, we will need to have a official document to establish what our relationship and or what our roles are going to be. But when you're coming into town, I want to give you an opportunity to see if this is going to be a good fit for both of us.
mhm,
So I'm going to need two things. One's going to be a proof of funds. So we're looking at homes that are only in your budget. And number two is going to be a 3-day buyer broker agreement. So we get to have a trial run, see if this
mm,
is working together. And if we like what we're working with from there, then we'll move forward with an official buyer broker
okay.
agreement. So outside of that, um, so much news is going on.
Mhm,
I don't want to add to it. Nothing's even finalized
mhm,
yet, right? So, I made a post recently where I was just sharing, hey, you may have heard plenty of stuff in the news. There's some good news out there, some bad news
right,
out there, and just offering them an opportunity to chat with me
right.
to set up time
How'd that
to
go?
I've gotten some great feedback from it. People who are saying, "Hey, I'm noticing what's going on. Would love to chat more." Maybe they're getting ready to list their home in the upcoming months. So I don't want to say I've had appointments being set, but I've had people that have appreciated the opportunity to chat. I think people know about it, but because it's not right now taking place in our market, I think we'll have those conversations in the future.
Right, right,
But just wanting to stay forefront of the news, but
mhm,
I also don't want to be clouding people. I don't want to make a big situation out of something that we don't even know is
mhm,
going to
mhm.
happen just yet. So,
There's definitely because I think what I hear you saying is there's definitely, at least from my vantage point, there's people that are saying nothing much is gonna change. I mean, the Barbara Corcorans of the world, um, and I think, and Bam, Byron, I think he
mhm.
even maybe broadcast her statement, but then you've got others that are saying, "Oh, absolutely, it's gonna change," and so it remains to be seen. I think everyone agrees that now more than ever, the value has to be there for the buyer's agent. So, meaning you have to be able to show your value to the market,
Mhm.
right? And so if you're not doing that, uh, there's still time. I mean, you can still sharpen your pencil, sharpen your tools, and get ready to, there's going to be, you know, there's so much pent up demand right now on the sidelines, and people are waiting for rates to get lower. We don't know when that's going to happen. People thought we thought it was going to be sooner than it
Mhm.
has been, and even had a slight uptick recently. So I think the biggest thing is just to sort of think about like, what's the payment? Can I afford this? And is this something if rates didn't go down? Because I think a lot of people think there's still a contingency of people out there that think that rates are just going to go back down into the threes. And honestly, for me, after being in this for over 2 decades, I don't see that I don't think they'll ever go down that low again, where we were. I don't think the twos, threes. I mean, but so I think to wait, there's just a risk involved. Whereas right now, you can get a better deal because I think, at least in our market, there's not as much multiple offers. Yes, there's going to be real estate's always hyper local, so it depends on in Nashville, where in Nashville, and so, but for the most part, you know, buyers can get a little bit better deal. Buy that, maybe they can get concessions and have the seller pay down the rate, buy down the rate. Um, and so I don't know. There's just a lot out there that's going on and the misinformation things I think is huge. I mean, um, there's so much noise about this topic, and so I appreciate your insights on that. And I think that's a great strategy, just to sort of allow people the platform to be able to ask a question.
Yeah.
You know,
People wanna talk, but I think they wanna ask questions, so you need to invite them into
mm,
asking questions and not just delivering information you think they want to know or need to know,
mm,
because the majority of the time, the information that you're trying to convey is not relevant to them,
mm,
and it goes way over their head. So, yeah, I think one thing that we've been hinting on, but we haven't called it out, is just the accessibility. How are we talking about things in a way that really connects with people? How are we making ourselves accessible for people to reach out to us? And in this case, we're talking about a topic like, how can we make such a big and scary topic accessible to somebody? And instead of us exuding all of this knowledge that we have as these thought leaders, the people who really make a mark and leave a impression are the people who talk about these things in a way that everybody can understand.
mm,
So if you can break it down and allow somebody to connect with you with whatever it is, wherever they're at on their journey, I think that is way more valuable than
yeah.
you trying to deliver a speech to somebody
Hmm.
on how this is going to impact them.
Yeah. And, the public's watching, people are watching right now. And so I think it's just, it bears keeping in mind that, on social platforms, especially like Facebook and Instagram, if there's content going on, there's commenting going on, the average consumer, the buyers, the sellers, they're watching
Mhm.
what's being said,
Right.
amongst the agents. And so I think it's just important to remember that,
Yeah,
because, it's the client is what's important here. And I think that, the more we remember that, the better off you'll be in the way you present yourself, present your value proposition, right?
sure.
So,
Even the content that we're putting out, I see a lot of agents who are really creating content for other agents, and it gets a lot of engagement. But sometimes I think you have to be careful about what you're putting out there,
mm,
because if you're making fun of clients or you're making
mm.
fun of the process, or you're talking about how hard your job is, like,
Oh, yeah.
you're beginning to alienate yourself from
Mm,
people who would potentially want to work with you. There was a period of time where I noticed my engagement really began to dip, and then I noticed that I started creating content that would connect with other agents, but it was really just a lot of real estate humor that
mm,
a potential client wouldn't be able to connect with, but began painting, I would say, real estate in a slightly negative way.
mhm.
We've already got so much
Don't
negativity.
need more, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's such a great point. I mean, it's interesting that you were able to pick up on that, and that's a good thing, right?
right.
So, we'll talk about what's coming up. What are you excited about? You got the new brokerage, but, and if you wanna put a plug in for your coaching, how you're
Yeah.
doing, talk about that.
Sure. So, I am a content coach with Coffee and Contracts. We are a subscription-based real estate marketing platform.
And what's the website for that?
It's coffeecontracts.com.
Mhm.
They're also on Instagram at Coffee and Contracts. And what you get with this is you get training, tools, and templates. If you want to start your real estate social media journey, but you don't know where to start, we've got templates for that. So we actually provide an entire month of content for you with daily posts that you can actually go in, tweak, edit, add in your photos. We give you a bank of reels ideas,
Mhm.
and then we even give you lots of templates, things like listing presentations or buyer consultations. In fact, we've been working together right now to put together buyers buyers' resumes, what's the value of a buyer's agent. So we're really trying to stay on the forefront of what's going on in the real estate
Love it.
industry,
Love it.
but giving you the tools to use it. So you can use code Marie for $15 off your first month, and you get access to everything. I usually go live in there around once a month where I'm hosting specific trainings on Instagram. Usually that's on creating reels or optimizing your profile. Outside of that, I now have an opportunity for agents who would like to work together directly with Real, people who are interested in maybe making a brokerage change or getting plugged into a collaborative community. I have a opportunity where people can sign up directly underneath me, and we're working together on how to strategize your business for social media marketing.
Yeah.
So those are the two big ways right now. And thirdly, I've got an account specifically for agents to follow called at real with Marie Lee.
Okay.
So
Real is R-E.
REAL
Okay.
with Marie Lee. And that specific account, I'm giving a lot of just free tips. I didn't want to do that on my Move Me to Tennessee account because that's client facing. I don't want to talk to agents and begin to lose my opportunity as a lead generator right
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
But wanted to give people an opportunity to learn, get very tangible takeaways. So that specific account is all about real estate marketing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. How'd you plug in with them? How'd you plug in with them?
Coffee and
Coffee
contracts.
contract.
So I was a member with them from the moment that I started real estate.
When did they start? And
They started, I believe, in 2019,
okay.
and they have really grown.
Where did it start?
It's always been online, but the founder, she is based out of St. Pete, Florida. Right now, we have, I think, 6 or 7 content coaches. On that panel, we have Haley Ingram. She's the CEO of Coffee and Contracts. Erica Richmond, who's also local here to Nashville.
Okay.
She's in Spring Hill. Stevie Hahn Rutherford. She used to be known as Sold by Stevie. She's actually one of the first people that I started watching on
Okay.
Instagram, both her and Erica. And then, yeah, just using their content, implementing their content.
Mhm.
And then because I was having successes with this content and some of these
Yeah.
strategies, they were like, hey, you're an actual agent who's producing. We really need to have some agent feedback in here.
Mhm.
Can we bring you in so we
Yeah.
get good feedback?
Lots of value, and that's what agents need right now. I mean, they're looking for ways to be relevant, and
Mhm.
we're looking for ways to connect and to grow their business, and I just think it's a great, great idea. And so how many members are there now?
We have about 7,000, and that spans the US as well as Canada. And
Wow.
sometimes there's a little mix of mortgage professionals that are in there. However, the content is very real estate heavy.
Mhm.
So we'll see sometimes some mortgage lenders who are using this and tweaking it
Mhm.
a little bit. But another really great opportunity is we've got this private community on Facebook. And in that, people are constantly sending referrals back and forth one
Ah,
another. So it actually allowed me to really begin building my business, through a lot of those referrals
okay.
from that Facebook group.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, how do people reach you? They wanna work with you, they wanna connect with you. Tell everybody.
Instagram at Move Me to Tennessee. You've got all my contact information in my link in bio.
Mhm.
Feel free to send me a DM. But yeah, I would say that's the
Move
easiest way.
me to Tennessee. So
Tennessee is
that's
spelled
right,
all the
that's right.
way out.
All the way out,
So
all the way out.
yeah.
So, great to have you.
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
having
thanks,
me.
thanks, and, guys, thanks so much. Reach out to Marie. As you can see, wow, if that wasn't enough for you, I don't know what is, but you know what? There is more there is more. There is even more. And so you want to reach out to her, connect with her. If you're an agent, you want to help grow your business. Obviously, if you're out there, you're a buyer, you're a seller, you're thinking, man, I really want to connect with her. She knows her stuff. There's no doubt about it. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.